Oh, yes.
Oh, very nice. Wait, Chris, was last week the week that you actually didn't have a beer? I can't remember.
No, I think I had one
Yeah,
last week.
you
I
had a
think
beer last week. It was the week
it
before
was the
that.
week before.
Oh, it was so startling. I continually remember it. I think last week you'd had a beer and I like cackled over the opening of the beard. I'm just messing up my words. I'm so flustered. I was just rushing
I know.
to get my hair all set.
I splashed myself with that opening. So
Things are getting crazy over here, and I don't know why people would watch the Super Bowl instead of this. So
I don't either. This is
crazy
crazy.
town. Listen, all you literary people who are not sports people, I don't know what you could possibly be doing this evening except watching this show and our incredible features that we've got on for tonight. But of
Oh
course,
yeah.
we're going to hold off for our official welcome. We'll be very excited to welcome Diosa X and Vayl Larkin. It's going to be an incredible evening. But anyways, Chris,
Yeah.
you're going to need to talk more about this in a few minutes too. But how was this weekend with all of the news about where the movie is going to be in theaters?
Oh well, my weekend had very little to do with that, but
Oh,
that was fun to just fun to get news and updates on how that's going to play out, and it's going to be all over the place. It's going to be New York, L.A., D.C.,
so cool.
Providence, Phoenix, Detroit, Cleveland.
March 3rd, people. March 3rd.
Well, it's on video on demand for people who are
Oh, yeah,
not
that's right.
in the vicinity of a theater showing the film, which is formerly known as Shriver
Woo!
and now called A Little White Lie. Ugh, it's hard
Oh,
for me
I
to say
know.
the title, but
Wow.
it's a good movie. It's a good movie. Right. So keep your eyes peeled, and we're going to talk more about it here, of
We
course,
absolutely are.
and we're going to be sending out all kinds of news about where you can catch that major motion picture.
That's right. And we'll be telling you when and where Chris and myself will be going to see it. So hopefully you can meet up with us. We would love to have a tremendous party of people coming to see it together with us. Maybe grabbing a drink or a bite to eat afterwards. We'll be planning out hopefully a few fun things at least. Um,
Mhm.
that weekend of March 3rd and perhaps in the following weeks. So please stay tuned for that and please do come out. It's going to be awesome. But anyways, there's some kind of football game happening tonight, and we don't care. We do care. We do really like Rihanna. Rihanna is amazing. But Super Bowl, Schmooper Bowl, I'm here in my early Valentine's Day attire with my glitter heart tumbler ready to have
Oh
an
yeah.
incredible evening of poetry and just good times with my literary peeps and our fabulous audience. So hopefully no one has been deterred or drawn away by football except for mom and dad who have become really big football fans. So we say that we'll forgive them this one time, this one lapse in their
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
record.
I think they're also Rihanna fans, and they're just like shaking their booties right about now.
I listen. I would have to watch Rihanna if I weren't here. That's the only thing that would tempt me for real.
Well, we don't need Rihanna. We got Katie.
Oh my
So
god! I'm honored. I really.
he's gonna do a little halftime show today. Right? That's
If only you
little
could
sneak peek,
see the full body shimmy.
and she's gonna have like backup dancers and some pyrotechnics
Ooh,
and
that'd be amazing.
whatever. Play at least 3 costume changes.
At
and it's going to
least.
be amazing.
And many, at least 50 aerial artists shooting out of the sky.
That's right, out of cannons.
Out of
So
Absolutely.
anyway,
Well,
it's
it is
8:01.
we need to officially that's right, Chris. We need to officially welcome you all to FUMFA 120. That is
120.
very awesome.
Yeah.
And we are so excited to welcome tonight Diosa X or Diosa uh, Xochiquetzalcóatl and Vayl Larkin. I think I got it. I think I got it right. Is the coolest last name, coolest artist name, Diosa X. Really beautiful, and we're so excited to welcome back Vayl Larkin, who is doing incredible things as always, and we're looking forward to their features and also to our Q&A, getting to talk more with them and find out what they're doing and everything about what they're writing these days. Just a reminder that you all should be watching live out there, but our readings are always archived on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So whichever form of social media you partake in or that you enjoy, it will be there for you to watch later or to share with your friends later who can't tear themselves away from the football.
That's right.
So keep that in mind. And it's going to be an incredible evening. We're so looking forward to it. But Chris, tell our audience what we have coming up these next few exciting weeks.
I will certainly do that. Next week, we have a very special night, Poet Laureate Night. Right, it's going to be a whole lot of poetry going on here.
It's going to be awesome.
Folks from all over the state of Connecticut. There are several poet laureates of their various towns. For instance, our old friend B. Fulton Jennings from Ridgefield. We got Sandy Carlson coming back from
Sandy
Ferry. Mr. Bill Hayden from your neck of the woods there,
Norwalk.
Jack Sheedy. I can't remember what town Jack Sheedy is. It's terrible of me, but I can't remember. But he's going to be amazing. So that's next week. So we got 4 for the price of 1. We're going to have 4 poets, and not just poets, but poet laureates. And then the following weekend is our in-person open mic weekend. So on the 24th, that's a Friday, we're going to return to Eco-Evolution in South Norwalk. And we're going to have 4 amazing featured performers, including our old pal, Tommy Hahn.
Dr. Tommy Hahn now.
Dr. Tommy Hahn. That's right. We got to call him Dr. Tommy. And our friends S.K. Marr and Amy Martin. And then also the Leche guy is going to play.
Leche guy.
Right. And then we'll be back here on the 5th of March for B.J. Buckley, who will be joining us from a library in the middle of nowhere. She lives like in the boonies of the boonies.
The
and
hills.
she has to go to her library to do this.
This is the coolest. This is the best story we've ever had of setting up a date with
very exciting
with an author.
Yes.
We're very excited.
and we also have Amanda Parrish Morgan, who's a Connecticut writer. And then beyond that, we've got so much stuff. We got Anne Wong and M.A. Dennis and Taqwa Sharif. And it's just endless. It ends. It goes. It just keeps going. It's on and on and on. The number of amazing people.
We're honored to get to spend such a great time with and have on for these incredible feature readings. It's always such a special time. But we need to get down to our feature readings for this evening. I'm so excited to welcome Diosa Xochiquetzalcóatl. Oh, Diosa, help me again. One more time.
Diosa Xochiquetzalcóatl.
Xochiquetzalcóatl. Beautiful. Welcome, Diosa.
Thank you.
A little touch of that L, just like a little. It's like you
just
hit
a pinch.
You hit the T, and then you could just kind of drop off with the little
It's
L.
just a wisp of the
That's very
L.
cool.
I love that. So cool. Anyways, Diosa, how have you been this weekend?
Doing great, taking it easy and excited to be here.
Great. We love
Where
to
are you
hear that.
joining us from, Diosa?
I'm coming in from Southern California, West
Oh,
Coast.
Oh, that's so cool.
I can see all that light outside your window, and figured it wasn't here.
Yes,
all that sunshine.
much prettier than the yellow light I have on me.
Oh no,
Oh, you
you
look great.
look fabulous. That's great, Diosa. All right, let me share your bio with our viewers.
All right.
Diosa Xochiquetzalcóatl, or Diosa X for short, is a multilingual and multidimensional Chicana indigenous Mexicana poetisa. She has been published in literary journals and magazines, as well as several anthologies in both English and Spanish. Diosa X is the author of 2 poetry collections, A Church of My Own and Hechizera, Sus Sultry Spells. She has featured, presented, and performed nationally and internationally, most recently winning the Slam Diaspora of Chicago, the only Spanish language slam of Chicago, which sent her in partnership with the Fiesta Literaria de las Periferias to the continental tournament Abya la Copa America de Poetry Slam in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in December 2022. That's incredible, Diosa. Take it away.
Thank you. So I'll start off with a few poems from my first baby, A Church of My Own. Rhymester of Akashic records, a crystal skull with quill in hands, bard of the unseen and unheard, syllabic surveyor of many lands, holy mind's eye tattoo artists, sacred penchants literature, giving voice to the cathartic, synonymous connoisseur. Life's dysphonic, spasmodic scribe, matrices of the great unknown, troubadour of places and time, loving lyricist of forlorn, aromatic orthographer, alphabetic photographer, people's acoustics sonneteer, deep in love with pentameter, versifier of the mundane, bringer of what appears insane, word giver to that which is dear, hijacker of life's many lanes. Despite time's passing, words remain to beautify or maybe stain. A dilettante's words are never in vain. A language lover gone insane, mashuga, eccentric, deranged, a million personas yet to be named. I am poet. The sixth sun. My creator will give me its light, and it shine me a path straight to you. Be my sun, and I will be your moon. Let us eclipse a love so bright that, like the universe, is never ending. You move me, just as the moon is moved by the sun. And no matter how far away I seem to go, your magnetism always brings me back. My Aztec warrior, let me heal the wounds of your infinite battles, and in return, teach me to be brave. Like Quetzalcoatl, my feathered serpent, wrap yourself around me and never let go. Be that force that transforms and unites our opposing selves. Teotl has navigated our lives so that we could be together. And only Teotl has the power to turn that course around. You can be my Popocatépetl, and your Iztaccíhuatl. Awaken the sleeping giant. For this mujer dormida has been dormant for far too long. Let there be massive destruction so that we may build a brand new world. May it be everlasting as the great sun calendar, Tonal Poali. The sixth sun is now here, and the time has come to start anew. No more revolutions, only revelations. That God is the knife that can create or destroy. That God is the word. And I have created a paradise with mine. Come with me to my paradise in Aslan, and together we can have it all. Nimitz tasota. And next up, reclaiming the sacred. You do not need to beat a woman, to leave her black and blue. You do not need to raise your voice to make her scared of you. You do not need to use vulgarities to crush her loving spirit, nor build up a giant metal cage to lock her up within it. No need for bruises, beatings, blood, or broken bones. There are so many other ways to make a woman feel alone. When you say that you are single, but really you are not. When you're into micro cheating, then happen to get caught. When you tippy toe around your ex, regardless of how she feels. A true love bombing master to make her believe your feelings are real. When you don't defend your relationship, when it is under attack, when you know that you can count on her, but you never have her back. Saying you loved her that one time, yet never speaking those words again, repeatedly ignoring the issues, not allowing the wounds to mend. A stasher, hence your family and friends know not of her existence. Pie hunting, pursuing her, knowing she proceeds with some resistance. Ladies and gents, these are all examples of violence against our women. These are all crimes of the heart which are not easily forgiven. Play not with their hearts, for these are the most fragile of them all. 'Tis why I write these lines today, to help society recall. Violence against women comes in many shapes and forms, and we cannot continue to pretend, or even worse, ignore. The most sacred of this land is the woman nation. We must remember how to care for those capable of creation. For what crushes the bones can soon be remedied, yet what crushes the heart lingers on for eternity. 7 generations past, 7 generations to come, and this violence against our women cannot seem to be undone. The time is here. The moment is now. The new era has arrived for us to show them how. We must rise together and rightfully retrieve what is equitably ours. Time for us to believe. Crowns and scepters must be redeemed, for we are goddesses. We are queens. And not all heyokas are the same. I have a new heyoka now. No, not a devil like you. As I sit and write these lines, a tiny gray spider crawls out from under the red lava rocks. As I sit and write these lines, the resilient orange and white butterflies flutter overhead. As I sit and write these lines, the female calliope hummingbird suspends a few feet away. The one who migrates back and forth from Mexico to California, the kind feisty enough to chase away birds as large as the red-tailed hawk. As I sit and write these lines, the male Phoebe flies towards me. The one that is dressed in black and carries purest white below. The kind that is widely known to be aggressive against terrestrial predators, coyotes like you. I have a new Heyoka now, and unlike you, he's not a devil. And resurgence. Come back, dear goddess. I know how long it took you to finally let him in, and how he in turn invaded your home and infiltrated your world. You are not to blame, for even Jesus had a Judas. It is the greatest of friends and the best of lovers who hold the keys to our pearly gates. And just as Jesus will one day come again, it is now time for you to make your comeback. And last one from a church of my own. Empty space is never empty. I have the power to either carry you away or knock you down. That inhale that oxygenates your every cell. That exhale that releases all that no longer serves. The dragon of the east, Shang-Chi, the breath of the winged fire demon. The polar easterlies, the Santa Ana winds, that which fuels a fire, that which sustains life. As I envelop the earth, I move in all directions, for I am a Libra, and the winds will always be in my favor. And now on to Hechicera sus sultry bells. When the West met his wild, you may be the West, but honey, I'm the wild. The unruly rebel, unhitched hippie, untamed honey child. I'm the tumble to your ever-rolling weed, the heat-thriving rattler that frightens your steed, rattling up monsoonal storms whenever there's need. You may have your Stetsons, but I have these them steel-toe boots. And honey, you know very well we're working in cahoots. These boots were made for walking. Please tell me you know the rest. Tell me you have some intuition and heeded its bequest. Could it be that, like you like the state of chaos and permanent civil unrest? Perchance my wild has finally infiltrated your pure and wholesome West. Maybe you've come to realize I'm your Occidental best, and you've seen the gleam of the crown that sparkles on my crest. Now, I'm not saying I'm leaving behind the rest. I'm just offering a little piece of home nestled between my breasts. Take it or leave it, Mr. West. This journey is by no means mild. Let me recapitulate. I'm your crazy, crazy wild. The unruly rebel, the unhitched hippie, the untamed honey child. He took one long, good look at me, winked his eye, and smiled. And up next, blood transfusion. Mama needs new blood. It is required indeed to eliminate his seed, a uterine dilatation and curettage, leaving her womb to bleed. She needs to flush the toxins, drink a ruda concoction, injected by a new needle to seal the past in a coffin. To reverse the allergic reaction, she must acquire a new satisfaction, a novel and handsome prototype, a transfusion of magnum attraction. Mama needs new blood to clear the void in her womb after his extraction. A plague on both your houses. Dante and Diana dance in the dimly lit den. Sinful swaying mixed with scents of sacred smoke. A comfortable couch, the culprit of cooing and cuddling. Double doors leading to devious delights. Pigeons pitter-patter on the rooftop as the sun sounds the alarm on Sinai. One more round of ravishing rewards. Banana pancakes proclaim a piece of paradise, followed by a carefully crafted cup of joe. Wiping away the wife's weeping tears, emotions evolving to and fro. Too soon to try to leave or go, to meditate on the murder of Mercutio. La cruda realidad. She introduced me as Diosa X, yet all he heard was Dos X. He wasn't far too off. I've been told I can be intoxicating, producing hangovers that turn into hang-ups, which seem to hold on for years. Cheers. Evanesco. I need substance, not sex. If you need a really good lay, I simply call my ex in a matter of un, dos, tres. Ya ves? I don't need that virtual nonsense. Don't come at me with no common sense. Feed my mind. Nourish my spirit. Stay away from all that is violent and satiric. Don't need no smartass who loves rhymes and lyrics, for I see through the eyes of an empiric. You came knocking at my door and I opened the window, noticing the inevitable development of a sononic crescendo. No entiendo why you fools end up in a match of kendo. I am an ancient fighter. I know every possible ruse. Before you know it, mid-first round, TKO, you lose. Don't confuse me with your stupid girls, as you like to call them, for I have a crystal ball and tricks a dozen in my cauldron. Yeah, I'm a bruja. Now what? Doesn't take me long to say I've had enough. Thank you for reminding me that I am single by design, for I have no greater love than that which is solely mine. I define what is divine and choose whether or not to incline. Evanesco, for it is now the perfect time to restore my peace of mind. Evanesco. And to end from my upcoming book, West of the Santana and a few other sacred places. I think I was born angry. They say that a woman's ovum develop while in the womb of their mothers. My great-grandmother was 9 months pregnant and busting her back as a farm worker, giving birth to my grandmother in the middle of the barley fields of Santa Monica. They say that a woman's ovum develop while in the womb of their mothers. My grandmother spent her entire pregnancy working from dawn to dusk, while my grandfather drank from dusk to dawn, not coming home until she went and dragged him out of the barn. They say that a woman's ovum develop while in the womb of their mothers. For 40 weeks of gestation, my mother swallowed daily doses of tears alongside her morning coffee, wanting to run back home every second of the day. They say that a woman's ovum develop while in the womb of their mothers. It was I who was angry in the 1920s. It was I who was angry in the 1950s. It was I who was angry in the 1970s. And it was still I who was angry in the 1990s while giving birth to a beautiful baby boy, the one who came to finally put an end to this generational curse. Thank you so much.
Diosa! Chris, incredible, 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 powerful, inspiring, awesome, awesome poetry, Diosa. Listen, these people who are watching the Super Bowl, they don't know what they're missing. Incredible stuff. Wow, you really just blessed us with such incredible pieces. I'm just like feeling so fired up right now. Just gorgeous work. Yeah.
Amazing. And you know, I get when I hear this kind of thing, I get so excited about our Q&A later. You know, we're gonna have some questions, and you know, there's so much to talk about. And you know, whether it's just the you know subject matter, you know, formal poetry versus non-formal poetry, you know, the whole shebang, repetition, you know, a woman's ovum, right, is formed, you know, coming back to that over and over again. I want to ask about that kind of structural stuff because it's fascinating to me.
Thank you.
Totally, totally, totally awesome. I have just so many quotes that I popped in the chat here that just hit me so hard. You know, from early on, you know that you can count on her, but never have her back. Ooh, ooh. And does that resonate? Hell yeah. Just fantastic. Even Jesus had a Judas. And then it was I who was angry in the 1920s, and then the years progressing, I'm like, oh, I feel that. And also just this great line that, yeah, I'm a bruja, now what? Wow. So great. Such great attitude. And while speaking, kind of from this whole spectrum of like these sort of painful and also tragic moments, but also to these tremendously triumphant ones, and also to these like sassy sensual ones. Just so good. We love it, Diosa.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll see you in the Q&A. Very excited to ask a whole bunch of questions.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, Chris,
Fantastic.
just starting out. I mean, I feel totally revved up. What an awesome reading from Diosa, and a debut on our show as well.
I know.
So cool. But we are super excited to welcome back one of our friends who has been with us a few times and has all kinds of cool stuff going on. We're super excited to welcome back Vayl Larkin. Hey, Vayl.
Hey. How you doing?
So good. How are you? And how has your weekend been?
Oh, busy, but good. I've got family coming to visit next week. My cousin comes on Monday, leaves on Thursday. My brother gets here on Friday.
Oh my God. Revolving, just full house.
Yep.
That is so lovely. That's so lovely, Vayl. Chris, would you do the honor of sharing Vayl's bio with us?
Of course. Vayl Larkin is a trans, non-binary, disabled, and wheelchair-enhanced writer, and an all-purpose nerd.
Love it.
Hailing from upstate New York, Vayl's past employment ranges from opera singer to exotic dancer, but they have settled happily in Pittsburgh, PA, where they write poetry, short fiction, theater, and sometimes impassioned essays. They have been published in journals such as Drunk Monkeys and the anthology Love Letters to Gaia, and Vayl received a 2021 Brooklyn Poets Fellowship. Vayl's play Words of the Prophets will premiere soon in April 2023, right?
Woo!
At Nancy Munacharian's The Cell Theater in Manhattan, the, of course, World Center of Great Theater.
Vayl, we're very excited about this, and we'll have to talk about it in the Q&A.
We're going to have to talk about that, and then when it comes around, we'll have to broadcast that a little bit. So,
heck yes.
You take it away then.
Thank you. I'm actually going to read some sections from the play today, and I thought I would put them in some context. This play is called Words of the Prophets, and it follows 5 homeless characters. And I myself was homeless in my 20s, and I have a number of friends who have also been homeless. And our stories and the stories of people we've known kind of went into this. None of them scenes are about anyone, particularly in real life, but they're all influenced by various stories we've experienced or seen. And so I'm going to do 2 scenes today, 2 monologues today. The first one is about a military veteran who's homeless. And the context for this is that I come from a military family. My brother is career military. My father and grandfather were in the military on one side of my family, and on the other side of my family, there's a great deal of military. So I have my own perspectives on that, but I think that'll be clear in this first poem. This poem provides some context for the scene I'll read, and it's called Military Family. Let's line them all up. The commanders, the generals, the senators and reps. Let's line up the weaponsmiths, the bomb makers and contractors, and let's line up everyone who cheers when the sky flashes and cradles their guns. Let's line them all up and tell them, keep running forward. Keep running forward with the weight of your pack, of your rifle and boots. Keep running forward with the sun on your helmet and dust in your throat. Keep running forward through bullets and rockets, grenades, mines, and bombs. Keep running, always forward, never back, while you watch people falling and screaming and bleeding, so dying seems peaceful, except when you know them, and oh, how you will know them, ally and foe, they will all scream and bleed, they will all die the same. Keep running forward with your heart on your back, over warriors fighting for land that you stand on. And when you come home, you who do still come home, keep running forward, keep singing, through patriots setting off rockets for fun and voting for wars that you thought you had won, through everyone missing because you were gone and the screams in the night that keep you from sleeping. Keep running forward, because we won't wait. We'll take all your chances, all the peace that you've earned. We'll reduce you to glances sidelong from the ignorant, watching you twitch when the trucks go by, watching you struggle to remember through the pain in your head, watching you suffer like that part of your service was the only thing permanent. Keep running forward. And you who still live, if any still live, can return to your posts, to your rallies and offices, and keep running forward. Keep on as you were. Keep running forward into the fray, into the battle. All of you who still can. And this next is the scene. This is scene 2 in the play, and it is narrated by the play's narrator, and is performed by a dancer and an ASL performer who is doing both body movement and ASL performance. And we also have an ASL performer who will be mirroring the narrator and doing all of the text that he does. So this is called Broadside. Once there was a young soldier who screamed and screamed every single night until someone heard and woke him and showed him the date again. This story was first told all in a rush in that time between midnight and dawn, when everything else is still and the shrouded silence of the world takes us back to a time before walls, before safety. The soldier cried, and so did someone who sat with him. The nightmares did not vanish completely, not for a long time, but the screaming slowed and then softened, and then one night fell into slumber. Click, swish. The sound of the photocopier humming and running along. He loses time, loses the thread of the story. Click, swish. The story slips back and forth, repetitions piling. Their weight presses on him, pushing him to the past. Dull, dusty thud of boots on baked dirt roads. The rocks rise on all sides, plenty of curves and crevices. His head creaks round again, and the weight of all his drumming footsteps presses him into the ground. Time slows, and he sees her. She is standing directly ahead, bare feet flat on the rutted road. She looks at him, her eyes wide. He sees the gun in her hands. Rat-a-tat. He never felt his fingers move. Click, swish. The final page gently rocks onto the stack. He gathers them, turns and walks out, ring-a-ling, into the street. The heavy tread of his boots on concrete comforts him as the rush and hustle of the crowd swallows his breath. Bang! And bang again. His eyes are not working, blinded by the glare of hot sun on glass, and he is deafened by the blood rushing in his ears. The girl is standing, all of 12. She is wearing a paper white cloth that wraps around her head to keep the sun off. She is worried about the sun. He sees the gun. Rat-a-tat. Falling. He is falling, prone in the street, hands on head ducked down. Bang, bang. Who knows where? Bang. It's coming from, and bang. It's pushing him past and past. The pit in the fenced lot nearby gapes hungrily. The clutching fingers of fear dig furrows into his chest. It's all back, here, now, and immediately. The sun streams through columns of dust along their path. The girl stands up, or steps out. Somehow she is there. He sees her eyes looking into his, both surprised. He sees that gun. Rat-a-tat. Hish. His breath breaks in, and then the rising roar of the crowd surrounding him, passing and pressing him, and threshing his carefully stacked stories into a flurry. He thinks the sun was hotter than this. Rushing past his teeth and down as deep as memory, bathing that knot of frantic flight in sweet, inflammable air. She stood there, all of 12 on the road, rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat. She stood there. She was worried about the sun. Eyes wide, that gun, falling, paper white rags in the dust. He never felt his fingers move. Rat-a-tat. He gathers a few loose pages. He half-heartedly pastes one to a telephone pole. No one walking reads, but the print is too small to see anyway. Rat-a-tat, a-tat-tat-tat. Wind rattles paper on scratched metal. It isn't at all the same sound. Okay, thank you for that. This next piece introduces scene 4 of the play, or rather, I'm using it to introduce scene 4 of the play. Scene 4 and this poem both have trigger warnings for severe mental illness, schizophrenia specifically, and violence related to it, and also suicide. So trigger warnings for all of those. The inspiration for this section was twofold. First, my grandmother was a highly educated woman who developed schizophrenia and eventually killed herself. And her story is very sad, but I have often thought how different it would have been had she not been white. She was, instead of being treated very poorly because of her behavior, she was put in institutions where they at least tried to care for her, which is not how, for example, a Black patient would have been treated. They would have been prosecuted. So the scene is about a Black scientist who has become homeless as the result of mental illness. But the poem that I'm going to read first is about my grandmother, whose name was Luella, which is a family name and is my middle name. Luella lost. 1. The photographs of her, dark curls, bow mouth, smiling cheeks, and the shadows beneath her bright eyes like an old worn face at the end of its hope, like the shadows in photographs of my mother and me, so very like hers, her curls, her lips, the shadows, when we two were so young. 2. The war was well over, and she went to nursing school, where the nuns taught her medicine and surgical skills and mental mathematics, and they taught her that all life is precious, save the lives of the life-bringers. Still, she caught sight of a future for the first time. The shadows faded a little. 3. When she married him, that man of God with so very little of man's money, man's schooling, man's selfish, grasping ways, she immersed herself. Her hand turned from strangers in wards to neighbors, parishioners, mothers on farms, and in ramshackle houses, where her husband brought faith and game, firewood, and a good tight roof if needs must, for Jesus knew hunger and want sap the spirit, while she tended their wounds and brought forth their children and raised up her own. 4. Be fruitful and multiply. Abraham, Margaret, Mary, Esther, David, Eli, Sarah, Hannah, Victoria, and oh, how they multiplied, multitudes of them, always in motion around her and always in danger. She knew it. She lived it. She knew they weren't safe. 5. Esther tells the story of how many times she would bathe them each day when they came inside from their chores, before church, before school, before supper and Bible study and nighttime chores finished, and right before bed. They were cleaner and brighter than real children. They were perfect. 6. Abraham tells the story of the night he woke. Still, silent house, the creak of the wind-blown screen door that his mother had not latched when she left. She was nowhere. His father was not there. He stood at the door, breath frozen like the night outside. The bleakness settled. He felt certain the rapture had come for the righteous. He knew he was now alone. His father brought her home at dawn, face drawn, hands limp and faded at her sides. Abraham tells the story of how empty her eyes were. His father said the woman's baby had died. 7. Margaret Mary tells the story of the basement stairs and why she cannot descend any staircase in her entire life if someone is walking behind her. She does not remember it. She remembers the floor. She remembers light returning, and with it, her mother's silhouette against the open doorway at the top. 8. David cannot remember when they took her away for the first time. 9. She sits in the moment, past faded like sun-scorched photographs, the shadows obscured by blazes of cruel white, like the correction fluid on patient charts, like the hands of a father, like the erasure of a child, girl, woman, life. She sits in the moment, future scorched sear by their high voltage medicine. She cannot remember what she once wanted. She cannot remember how to subtract herself from passion, ambition, brilliance, or power. She cannot envision a world beyond lightning. 10. Eli cannot remember why his neck is scarred. He says he cannot. His rage comes from nothing. He believes in God more than anyone, and his God is fury-filled. His father's new table saw was the last one he owned. 11. They sent all the little ones away, like they were leaving with her, but everyone scattered. Sarah here and Hannah there, and Victoria given to one with no infants. Her, she went back to the moment, the lightning, the subtraction. Mother's Day. She had begged him to leave her. She knew she was deadly. She knew they were endangered. He loved her. 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 The knife did not work like she hoped that it would. Rope is more reliable. When they came to take her back to the hospital, she was already gone. Abraham was 10 years old. Trompe l'oeil, which is French for trick of the eye, optical illusion. Once, long ago, there was an accomplished surgical nurse who gave up her career to become a mother. By the time she was 31, she had 8 children. By the time she was 32, she had tried to murder most of them. By the time she was 33, she was dead by her own hand. Her grown children still remember the delusions and violence, but they also remember her intellect, her kindness, and her love before the disease took it all by force. Perhaps she saved them from herself, but then this left deep wounds too. Better for something to have saved her first, after all. They came in the night again, stealing, grabbing, breaking, using, always at her throat, every time the sun downs. She could find them in the light if the stars would let her see. They crackle in her eyes like fire, and she has to cover them or die. They don't believe her where the beds live. She tries. on this coldest of colds to explain, to make them see the danger. But they say, knife out, you in, or both out together. And so she takes her knife and she goes home to the sky. Sunlight is safer, barely. The sun is a star, but simple and yellow young. The ancient giants are the ones to watch out for, reaching their tendrils of dying fire through the meat of their own orbits. Their incipient malignancy becoming whole in time. She knew it was them. Those voids behind the aging light who sent out their spiders and blind crawling nightmares to torture her. She knew them, had studied their secrets, and she knew a singularity when she saw one, even if it was shrouded in smiling flesh. Sometimes they would come for her wide-eyed and shining like a fusion mom, and she would fight them back, until the shocking touch of their fangs laid her down and dropped her knife from nerveless hands. She can almost remember, sometimes after they have brought her there, after the needles and the sweet sips of something that is not water, figures and equations dance just out of sight. Her vision clears for only a moment. She sees truths. And then they say, you out, knife in, you're safe now. So back she goes, the light sliding from her in waves. She shakes her head, looks at the low sun, and hurries to find something sharp for the night, somewhere safe from the horizon. Okay, I am going to read just a few, depending on time, pieces that are unrelated to the play, just my own stuff. Well, the play is my own stuff too, but you get it. These first two are dedicated to my two of my partners. I have three. This first one is from my partner in Chicago, and his name is Kingston Nolly. We visit a painting of two seated men for Kingston Nolly. I am watching him standing and looking at them, my beloved with his strong black reflected back from the two painted figures facing each other from either side of the canvas. He speaks of fathers and journeys to faraway lands. He speaks of wars, of brutalities, and the stench of the blood of men like his father in the streets. My beloved in the painting make a shape, a triangular conduit he can link into, blood, history, and power flowing around him. He speaks of his childhood in this strange, pale place we call home, both of us, where he speaks Mende with family but has erased his Texas accent. He speaks about grandmothers who crept past soldiers, arms laden, to escape to a larger, steadier, and more secure country most of his peers have never heard of. He speaks of wars most of his peers have never heard of. He speaks of home, that faraway land of his ancestors, of his mother and father, of his grandmother again, now that she can return from Guinea after the war that most have never heard of. He looks at the men in the painting. I am not in this picture. I am the inverse, the looming's white space they defiantly inhabit. Their power relates to me only in that the press of their muscles against tyranny highlights them. He talks about knowing how many of his people were wrenched over the ocean. Mende spoken in Georgia, the Carolinas, and Louisiana now. He talks about being one of those left back, still home in their pillaged nation. He talks about going home, where thanks to the Christians, he will always be endangered. He is a strong black man, but they will kill him if they disagree. I'm silent and in awe. We talk about chains that come without iron, with Bibles and leaflets and sips out of thimbles, We talk about chains that grow, link after link, from the ones left behind to the missionaries, to the wars against teachers, to far-off lands where the cab company employs more doctors than the hospital, and where a father, pressured to warping, blames his son for his survival. I am not in this picture. I am blank space. I am the absence here of home, of history, of trust. Trust, like a triangle, like a circle of black stars signaling synchronized to one another across the spaces, the voids, the pale, pervasive others. He turns to me, eyes wide up, forehead clear, wide, and the circle of his people opens wider, and momentarily I am whirled up into it, the shape of trust, and I remember our roots and how they all tangle together, and where we all come from, the circle, the dark of the earth. Now I'm going to read just one more. I think I have time for one more. Yes. This last piece is for another partner of mine. And he is a fellow writer who also lives in Pittsburgh. A Shape Like a Tree, for Andrew Pryor. Your lips pressing my mouth into the shape of your mouth, and your tongue spelling to me love, lust, the shape of your hands on me, how you love to grasp, hold, enfold me, time out of breath, out of becoming your oneness with you, the will of us together, our rapture ringing, our wicked tongues, oh, you give me more to hold than I can carry without your arms supporting me. The way we fit together is the way the sparks of our infinite atoms fit together. Electric and full of force, almost forced, but finally fusing and flowing together. We are bright like energy is bright, like love is bright, like elevation is bright, and the way your body is so much larger and stronger, but slower and gentler than my little lightning can restrict itself to. I call you my tree. I call you my tall standing tower, my bastion, my belonging here in this boiling reality where currents, clouds, and warring weather while together trying to unmake us, but we are amalgam. You call me your little bear like I am so strong for my size, and I feel like it with your branches surrounding me. I am borne up, sky flying above my worry, my weariness, and I remind you of what it is like to be unmoored and unfettered. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, well, I love that you ended with that one and that we just heard the story of the koala and your tree. That was so lovely. And a very perfect, we're doing a little bit of early Valentine's Day.
That's what I figured I'd do a little bit. You're all hardy.
Vayl,
Nice.
you can do it all. And so masterfully, so powerfully. You read us such intense, powerful, vivid, just heartbreaking pieces where we're really just seeing these incredibly like stressful images where we're feeling that anxiety building, and it's so palpable. And it was so cool that we got to hear from those pieces from the play, and that extended that longer piece about your grandma and about schizophrenia was just so incredibly powerful, like so dark, but so also so palpable. Just really incredible stuff. Really incredible stuff. And I like that you ended on a lovely love poem.
It was so sweet, and it was also so magnificently read. It made me think,
everything.
It made me think in this play you have a narrator. Are you narrating it? Because
I am not. Our narrator is an unbelievably talented poet named Norm Maddox,
Nice.
okay, well, he's
who
going
is
to have
often known as Norm Mathematics in the community.
That's
He's
great.
a nomadic press author. He's got a number of books out.
all right, well,
And he's an amazing New York City artist who I happen to know and managed to convince to do this.
That's so great. Oh my gosh.
If he's, you know, because you were reading that so beautifully, and I was like, oh man, I could just picture this.
Right? I
And-
mean,
Thank you.
and especially it was so beautifully performed, especially with the rat-a-tat and then the swish of the copy machine and the
all of
just so cool. You know, we've heard you read several times and in several different locations, Vayl, and it's just always just so powerful, just awesome stuff. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, we need to welcome back up Diosa X so that we can have our Q&A. Let's give another round of applause to our features, Diosa X and Vayl Larkin. All right. What a total rock star evening of just incredible poetry, really beautifully and powerfully performed poetry. We love to kind of talk about like the similarities and the synergy between our guests as well. And we just love these performance aspects of it and those repeating lines and just the way that it's read. Just with such a powerful voice, and we'll get into that, but we need to get started with our famous first question. Chris,
Yes.
give it to him.
All right. We'll start with Diosa and then go over to Vayl. So that's right.
Get ready,
So,
Diosa.
you ready?
Ready?
How has writing, how has being a poet changed your life?
It's a small question, very small question.
I wouldn't say it's changed my life. I would say it is my life. It has always been my life.
That's awesome. Diosa, tell us how, like, from the time you were a child, you were just writing, you knew this was something you had to do.
I discovered poetry in middle school. That's like the typical poetry unit.
Right.
And I immediately fell in love, and I immediately had a rebuttal for a poem that was written, and I said, oh, this needs to be in Spanish.
We love it.
My first poem was written in Spanish as a response to a poem.
Nice.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and so it's always been there, but thankfully during the pandemic, that gave me the opportunity to quit one of my second jobs.
Nice.
And focus on this, and as a result, all this has been happening.
That's incredible, Diosa.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking all the time about this silver linings. I mean, obviously, a pandemic, terrible, awful thing, but these sort of silver linings of, you know, online community, of kind of letting go of certain things that we can let go of and embracing these tremendous interests that we've had and more opportunities to do them. That's awesome. And I have a follow-up question for you for in a few minutes.
Well, yeah, I do too, but I'm not even gonna wait. I'm just gonna
Go
say.
for it, Chris.
No,
I love the rebuttal. I have a question brewing.
I mean, we've heard from a lot of folks who say, you know, writing is my life. So it's not that it's changed my life. It just is my life. So can you imagine ever not being a poet and what that would mean? Because I just have a sense, because you write so beautifully and movingly about, you know, violence towards women and of so many deep and powerful topics that there's a healing quality to being the writer. And I mean, what if you were an accountant? I don't know, and you had all this
Account
stuff
of poet.
going in your head. I mean, would you go crazy, versus being a poet and kind of getting it out there in the world and healing that way?
It is definitely a catharsis. Writing is a cathartic experience. It is a healing experience, not just for the writer, but for the audience as well.
Always.
And so not being able to express verbally or writtenly, there is a medical condition that lives in my throat that impedes me or impedes my voice from being its natural essence. And that just empowers me more. There's no stopping me. Drive me crazy, I'm already there. So
no, that's great. And it's a good time to swing over to Vayl, because Vayl has had issues in the past with your speaking voice. We've had you on here, and we've talked about that. So, well, first of all, how has writing changed your life, and is there a similar quality of healing that comes with that, and what do you say?
Writing has been my obsession since my mother said the first time I saw a pen, I grabbed it and tried to write with it.
That's awesome.
All of my early papers, I'm autistic, and this is very typical of autistic children. All of my early drawings were actually just like me writing letters and numbers out repeatedly to learn the alphabet.
That's incredible.
So I was hyperlexic, which means I read and wrote very early. And I was also dysgraphic, which means my handwriting was extremely poor.
Oh,
right. Yeah.
And it's funny talking about this idea of shifting in and out of ability. I started out as an opera singer, and I will always feel fortunate that I had the opportunity to choose to leave because I didn't like the profession as much as I wanted to.
Right.
Once I got into, it's one of those things where it's impossible to know what it's like until you're doing it. And it's almost impossible to do it in the first place.
No.
Yeah.
So I spent 15 years training to spend about 5 years working as a professional opera singer and going, oh my God, this is awful.
wow.
But the fact is that I still sang, and I can no longer sing at all because of my spinal condition. Now, my spinal condition has recently, and my other conditions have recently eliminated the complex use of my hands. I can no longer handwrite. And I used to write do all generative writing by hand. It was really integral to my creative process. So in the past 6 months, I've been trying to retrain myself to type creatively, because I can still type. I just can't grip a pen or anything.
Right.
So I've been doing that. And one thing I learned about losing my voice after being a musician, and also losing my ability to play violin, which that happened much earlier than my writing. So I was a violinist as well. And I was a dancer, and I lost my ability to walk.
Gosh.
So I've experienced a lot of transitions like that.
Yeah.
And the fact is that if you hang on to the core of who you are as a creative person, you will very quickly find that the tools are less important than you wanted them to be.
Yes.
I went through a time in my life where I thought if I couldn't sing, I would die. And then it happened. And I did not die. And I am still creative. And I have a play opening in New York. And all kinds of things. So, it's not the end of the world. Even if you lose your art, there is other art out there.
Yes, there is. Vayl, you are super duper duper living proof of this, because you are just constantly writing the most incredible, powerful pieces. They're getting out there, they're getting published, they're getting out there, they're being produced. You're making these incredible YouTube videos and incorporating ASL actors and performers. I mean, nothing is gonna stop that. And I love that one sentence you just said there. I wish I could remember your exact words, but saying that the art is more important than the tools that you're using. It's going to happen, and you're just pivoting, pivoting in the next direction, and it's all
Yeah.
still happening, and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well,
And I think that's really important, because we like to pretend in this country that people only become disabled because they mean to.
Mm.
And the fact is that lots of people lose their ability to do the kind of art they want to do.
That's right.
And when people believe there is no hope after that, that's when they lose hope
That's
and
right.
don't do anything afterwards. But the fact is if you understand that you are addicted to the tools, and you're gonna have some withdrawal symptoms, you're gonna have an adjustment period, but eventually your art is gonna find a way out.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's such like faith and strength in that, and just this exciting healing release too. And that's also just so inspiring, because whether we're going through a transition of disability or something else, we so often feel like we've lost something, we've lost the ability to do something or to access something. And I think it's so important to remember that we can still create art, that we're still, if we're still here, there's a way that we can find to do it. And I think that's incredible, super incredible, Vayl. And we're going to need to ask you more about this play. We're pumped. It's coming up real soon. But I have to jump back to Diosa. I have a question that's been on hold since something you said from our last question, Diosa. You said that you were reading poet when you first getting into poetry in middle school. You were reading a poem and you had a rebuttal, and I was like, that is so cool, because I could hear, even in of course your current work, references to Shakespeare, references to so many things. And what's kind of so cool is that is such, I think, a formal and traditional way of poetry too, like responding to the world, responding to other work. And how does this act of rebuttal, like I have something to say, or I have something to say based on this moment or this poem, how does that inspire your work today on an ongoing basis? How is your writing generated by this, I need to have a rebuttal, I need to have my word?
Well, I think that learning to channel that reactionary feeling in poetry has allowed me to calm myself as a person. I used to be very no, and I'm still very passionate, and I protest a lot, but it's through poetry, right? Or the writing. And it's I don't know. I would say I'll go back to healing.
Yeah.
There's a way to address these issues without carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders and being angry all the time. As a person of color, many of us, we just grew up angry,
right,
not knowing why.
Yeah, and I remember you mentioning that, it was I who was angry, and I think that's also a real thing to grapple with in this peaceful space of poetry that you control, and where you are able to say everything that you need to say, where you're able to put all of that anger into words, whether that's anger or passion, or whatever that response is. So it's like you're finding your peace, but you're also putting everything you have to say beyond the no, this is terrible, or I'm enraged, I hate this is wrong. I think that is so incredibly powerful and inspiring. I think that is like the best possible way to be a poet, to have it be that for you, and it's going to embody that expression and that healing for other people as well. Yes, 100%.
That's the goal.
Love it.
Well, I think a lot of people turn to writing, whatever they're writing, poetry, fiction, nonfiction, plays, as a way to somehow maintain some kind of control, right? I mean, it's the world is crazy. The world is out of control.
Right.
We can control what little we can, and the rest is out of our hands. But when you have that pen, or you have that typewriter, or that keyboard, and okay, I'm going to create these characters. I'm going to say these words. I'm going to create these scenes, whatever it is. You're in charge.
Yeah, and you can say everything you need to say. You don't just have a moment or a blip or just that space of like reaction. You're able to form, a whole, like you were saying, rebuttal, a response. You're saying your piece, your argument, your anthem, your theme, your point, and I think that is so important. And I think that's what keeps us, having faith in writing. The fact that we're able to, have our voice, express that voice. We're able to form it, and that other people hear it and they're like, I get that, and
Right.
and it meant a lot to me to hear.
And learning, just learning to find the right words, learning how to express ourselves, so that the nature is not attacking, but helping others understand.
Right.
Oh, I love it.
That's right. And that makes me think of your play, Vayl, because you're giving voice to people, the words of the prophets, right? I mean, you're delivering those words that a lot of those people can't deliver.
Well, a lot of those people are never given the opportunity to deliver them.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So here you are. I mean, how inspiring is that, and how important is that? And you're the conduit.
Well, I don't really think of it like that. It's more, when you're homeless, you rely on a lot of other people. Everybody relies on everybody else.
Right.
It's a far more communal environment that most people understand. And that's not to say there isn't rampant problems, but a lot of those problems are actually caused by police, not by other homeless people.
Wow.
Right.
So
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, it's true. The cops come and they destroy people's shelters. They pour bleach on food. They terrorize these people to drive them away as though they have anywhere else to go.
I can't.
Yeah.
And that's happening a lot, more and more.
More and more.
Yeah.
And
huge problem.
And I am trying to, in whatever small way I can, help people to understand the humanity, not just the tragedy, not just the deterioration, just the humanity and the life of these people. Because I was one of those people, and a lot of us were one of those people. And people don't talk about the fact that they used to be homeless. And so most people don't realize they probably know someone who's experienced it.
Right.
They see a homeless person and they put every homeless person in one category and they think they're all the same thing. And that is so far from the truth. Yeah. And even the homeless people who are the most traumatized and the most act out the most, almost all of them have been massively mistreated.
Oh, I
and if we didn't treat people this way, they wouldn't turn out like that.
Yeah. Oh God, Vale. This is such important work. As you said, like there are so many more people who have been homeless and have experienced this than we even realize, and that this is a terrorized, this is an abused population of people, and that go so largely unseen or just treated as a nuisance. And your work and the work of other poets who have experienced this or who are amplifying these the voices of homeless unhoused people, I think is so critically important. Can you tell us more about how you got the opportunity to make this play a reality coming up so soon in April 2023? Can you tell us about the journey?
Well, I had given the Y Collective, and they're the collective that's producing it.
Awesome.
I had given the Y Collective a couple of videos that me and Crom Saunders, who's a deaf actor out of Chicago, did. And they loved them and asked if after that performance, asked if I had anything else. And I said, well, I kind of have a play. I kind of did a radio play version if you wanted to see it. They're like, work it up and send it to us. So I did. Wow. And it turns out that the production team, both members of both executive producers, have experienced homelessness. Not for as long as I did, not for as long as some people do, and not as severely as some people, but they have been in those shoes and they know what it's like.
They're like, this is incredibly important. This needs to happen.
Yeah. So they're very much on board. 100% of the proceeds are being donated. 50% is going to a New York City organization that supports Black and trans sex workers. And 50% is going to Sisters Pittsburgh, which is a homeless outreach program for LGBT and trans LGBT and also some sex workers of color.
Awesome. Incredible work, Vayl.
It was great. I donated my fee, and then everyone else got guilt tripped into doing it too.
So an even bigger impact was made.
Very excited.
We love it. And we can go see this April 2023 at the Nancy Manouchian
the South Theater,
nice.
Which is in Chelsea, Manhattan.
Okay.
And it will also be streaming online, all 4 performances. Nice. And one of the streamed performances will be free.
Awesome.
Wow.
So I will also say to you and Chris, are you guys in New York?
We are in Connecticut. We are but a train ride away.
I got to tell you, if you talk to me after this, because we are also having an invite-only dress rehearsal on Thursday night.
Oh my God!
That you might be interested in, because that's going to be like a much more intimate, cool little gathering thing. So let me know.
Okay, let us know the exact date. Send us the deets. And if there's any way that I can make it, I would love to be there. I don't know about Chris's schedule with his evening classes, but
yeah.
The incredible Vayl. Thank you.
Awesome.
That's super exciting. It's such a great opportunity, and it's so exciting.
Diosa, fly out, Diosa.
No. I can't go because of COVID. I can't be there because of COVID. So, yeah.
Well,
because I can't fly out there and spend a week in New York and go to rehearsals and everything. I can't manage it.
I understand. No, totally. But if we can be there, I'll be taking 1 million pictures and tagging you and everyone and just celebrating that. It'll be the best time. So we'll do our best to be there for sure.
Cool.
Camera.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yes. Lots of selfies in front of all of the cool things that Vayl has created. That's me. But Diosa, you have also had some really incredible things to celebrate as well. Some really awesome performances. And this most recent one in December 2022, the Copa America de Poetry Slam in Rio de Janeiro. Tell us about these incredible slams and performances, and especially that one. How did it go?
So a friend told me about speaking of the online communities. So Slam Diaspora out of Chicago started hosting these slams in Spanish. And so last year in April, I showed up and I won. And then eventually I made it to the Grand Slam and I won. And so it was like, grand prize, you're going to Brazil. I'm like, I'm what?
Cool.
Because I mean, I mean, they did promote, grand prize, but it just didn't register. But anyhow, they flew us out there, and wow, Brazil is beautiful. I mean, it was summertime. It was December.
Yes.
And the slam community is just so vibrant, so alive, and I didn't make it. I didn't win anything.
Oh,
but the greatest win of all is I won the trip to Brazil.
so cool.
I won this amazing experience. I connected to poets from all over the continent, from Canada all the way to Argentina, Cuba, and all the spaces in between, and to witness slammers and their poetry. It was just incredible. I'm still like pinch me.
Right, like still on cloud nine.
You won big time by going there. You won.
What an awesome experience.
Correct. I won I won before getting there, and that was
what a great experience there.
So cool. Awesome. Well, both of you are just tremendous rock stars who have blessed our evening and just give shared such incredible work with us, and also just your incredible lives. Chris, we need to give them the famous last double question.
We got the last question. Yes. Yeah, so okay, we'll swing over to Vayl here first, and just you've probably done this before with us, Vayl, but you have many pearls. A pearl of wisdom for those out there who are writers and dealing with that whole writing life. What is your pearl of wisdom for those people, and a book recommendation?
Okay, pearl of wisdom: always be completely honest with yourself. If you lie to yourself about anything, your writing will sound fake.
Yes.
And book recommendation. What do I want to recommend? I'm going to go with an older book this time because it's one that's not often enough recommended. Okay. And it is called The Thief of Always, and it is by Clive Barker. It is a young adult novel by Clive Barker. And it's not like Barker's normal, like a hyper gore thing, right. But it's a very creepy story. But if you've never read Barker and you don't understand that he's a literary genius, read this book and you will understand and you will want to read more.
Cool. Vayl, a fantastic pearl and recommendation. Thank you so much. And Diosa, a pearl of wisdom and a book recommendation.
Jeez, that's a difficult question.
I know. It's like both of them are kind of difficult questions, and we just throw them at you all at once.
So I would just say, just speak your truth, write it, do it. Afraid and all, just do it. Just do it.
Totally.
Let's do it.
And I'm a Libra. You can't
Libra, me too.
Choose.
Uh-oh.
So
I understand.
I'm giving you two.
Okay.
So
that's fine. I get it.
Ride of Roses by Brenda Vaca, SoCal Poet, and Cantos Revolucionarios by Maciel Corona, another Chicana poet out of Southern California.
Nice.
Awesome. We
My-
love it. We love it. I love how both of you had your pearls speaking to be honest with yourself, be real, and that's the way to tap in. That's the only way to write something real. I couldn't resonate with that more, and I love it. Thank you so much for being our features this evening, Diosa Xochiquetzalcóatl and Vayl Larkin.
Thank you guys.
Oh, thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you to our audience, and thank you to our audience who will watch later, who just had to watch the Super Bowl tonight, or who is in a different time zone. Okay, you're that's totally fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Football people, we see you out there. We know. But we're so thankful that you've been you joined us this evening. And Chris, remind us what's coming up next weekend.
All right, next weekend, more poetry, Poet Laureate Night, B. Fulton Jennis, Sandy Carlson, Bill Hayden, and Jack Sheedy, right here, 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
Gonna be awesome.
FUMFA.
All right, everyone, have a good night. Thank you so much, Vayl and Diosa.
Thank you.